So the Achtercairn Development Group was really um, a group set up to include all the various stakeholders in Gairloch that were interested in development. There was a key site in the centre of the village that was really crying out for redevelopment. So the group was set up to include all the businesses, the the council, the councillors, planners, ourselves, and anybody really that had a main interest in developing that central site in the village. Originally, there was a master plan created, and that was agreed with the planners and all of the different stakeholders in the development at a very early stage before anything happened on site. And one of the key things was really from the community was getting some commercial space on the roadside, and they really wanted people to stop driving through the village and really wanted to create a sort of centre for people. So that master plan was adopted by the Highland Council, and then as each parcel of land was sold on, each organisation then made an application for their planning themselves, but they had to follow the design brief and the principles that were set out in the master plan.
So the community was consulted about how they wanted to use this site, and obviously we had a huge housing need in the area, and that's what the Communities Housing Trust was driving to try and meet that housing need. But we wanted more than just housing, and the first part of the site was going to be designated for retail, community and business use to try and stimulate the local economy as well. In terms of how the site was used, we expressed an interest in one of the sites at the front of the big site, because we were currently running the tourist information in the village. We had a community market selling local art and craft product, and we had run a little pop-up cafe. We were also needing office accommodation too. So we knew we had a pressing need for accommodation for ourselves and for our activities, and so we got involved in the Achtercairn Development Group once we declared an interest in this front section of the site.
So as well as the farm and garden store and the Gale Centre, the housing that was built on the site includes 12 homes built by Alban Housing Society. They include 8 homes for rent and 4 for low cost home ownership. They include a new site that was developed by the Highland Council, and that's 8 homes for social rent. And then finally, the Communities Housing Trust built 5 homes for rent and low cost home ownership through the Rent to Buy scheme.
My partner and I were living in a very dated private rent sort of a property, and we were considering moving to Inverness or Dingwall somewhere, just with more options, I suppose. And then this came along and we applied, and we've been picked to actually, we've been offered a house. And what's even better is that it's very affordable, especially once COVID happened and properties around here especially just skyrocketed. It just didn't seem feasible for first-time buyers like ourselves to be able to afford to buy a property or even maybe rent something if this project didn't come along. So we were really, really grateful and very lucky. Stephanie grew up here. I've only been here 5 years, but it just feels like home.
So the planning permission was obtained by each individual stakeholder when they'd bought the land. So it was really a case of them following the guidelines set out in the master plan that was agreed with the council, but each organisation would employ their own architects, would employ their own engineers, and then they would create their own planning consents. And the same with the funding package as well. So each organisation was responsible for procuring their own contractors and the funding package. So for the 5 homes that the Communities Housing Trust built, the idea was that we procured it through a process that was involving local contractors as much as possible. So we normally go through this process for all of our construction projects, and luckily a local firm were appointed after a successful tender exercise. So they went on to build the 5 homes, and the funding package was secured really from a mix of funding from the Scottish Government, and our own resources and some other loan funding and grants. So it's just really a case of trying to get everything you can on the site, and make everything work financially and deliver the affordable housing.
So getting the site here in the middle of Gairloch was really crucial for us. We had a vision for what we wanted to build on it, but we didn't have the money to do it, and we knew it was going to be a long process trying to fundraise for our plans. Funding eventually that we secured, we had a hugely complex funding package, as most of these projects end up being. We had 8 different funders, but our first funder was the Big Lottery Fund, and they put 50% of the project cost in, and then we were able to build on that and draw in other funders, which was great. We had funding from a range of sources, both public sector and private charitable trusts as well, and we took out a loan with the Social Investment Scotland. So it was quite a mix of funding in order to achieve the project, and it was quite a lot of work trying to put it all together, quite complex, drawing it down.
Well, we were originally approached in 2006 by Janet from Gairloch, and she had seen several of our projects up in the Gairloch area. We'd built a couple of houses there, and she liked what she saw. So I think she did a bit of research into the Macart sort of philosophy, and we were renowned for a healthy specification using local timber. So this had a bit of a synergy with what Gail wanted to do. So generally, as an architect, you work to what's called the RIBA plan of work. So there's 8 stages, and the first 4 stages deal with design. So once stage 2 is complete, the concept design, you then move on to stage 3. And then, so you're getting towards planning application. Stage 3 is the more detailed design. And then after 3 is complete, you then move on to stage 4, which is the building warrant, technical drawings, and tender process. You produce enough information for the package to go out to contractors to price, and then you move on to construction. So.
I think in terms of advice for other groups who are wanting to pursue a project of this scale, to make sure you've got plenty of cash in the bank before you start. Even if you're 100% funded to do the project, you're going to need to have have liquidity in the bank so that you can pay your bills before you draw down your funding.
I suppose potential pitfalls are kind of common in lots of projects, but I think really key things at the beginning are really checking out the legal rights and responsibilities, making sure you've got proper access to the site, you've got rights for services, electricity, drainage, all these kind of things. And then moving on to the development stage, I think really getting a good team of people around you to support you is really important. Carrying out due diligence, making sure that you've got all the finance package in place, making sure that your contract is effective and watertight, that your contractor has a track record, and really just making sure that you've got the resources locally as well to help deliver a project, because that's really important to keep the momentum up.